friends are great, but they can only hear the story so many times. And they're like, can you just
Yeah,
get over this? Can we just move on? Can we change the channel? And it's for me with my clients, I'm like, I don't care how many times you tell me the thing. You can tell me the thing one time, you can tell me the thing 100 times. If you're not ready to change the channel, that's okay in this space. It's okay.
I love
You're
that.
ready when you're ready, not when other people tell you're ready.
Welcome, everyone, to Pulling Threads. I am so excited and so curious, and I just have been waiting impatiently for this episode. Today, we're talking to Erin Snow, who is a professional listener and the founder of the Unmuted Room, a first of its kind confidential listening space in New Hampshire. And after 17 years as a trauma informed legal advocate for survivors of domestic violence, sexual assault, and stalking, Erin recognized that there was a gap that no one else was filling. And I personally can't wait to hear more about how this all evolved, how it's going, everything you've learned. And Erin, you have some experience, quite a bit of experience working with people who have divorce. You have your own divorce story. So we're going to, of course, touch on some of that as well. But I love this because you say in your promotional on your website that friends have opinions, family has opinions. We therapists offer advice, coaches are goal driven, but this is filling a gap, which I'm going to let you explain because you'll do a much better job than me, but just like such a cool idea and something that I personally could use because I'm the person who says to people, I don't want you to give me advice. I'm going to tell you something that's going on or it's bothering me, but I don't want you to give advice. Every powerful idea begins somewhere personal. First, I want to just welcome you to Pulling Threads, but
Yeah.
tell
Thank
me
you so
what.
much for having me, Leslie. I'm so excited and we have a lot to cover.
Yes, we do. We
So
have a lot
much
to get
to
to.
know.
So I'm going to try not to do my normal rambling. Um,
No.
but let's just start at the beginning.
Sure.
What is the moment you realized like that simply being heard without advice, without judgment, was something that people had never really experienced?
So I think for me, I experienced it at a very early age and didn't realize what I was missing. I had gone through a traumatic experience. I was sexually abused as a child by my friend's father, and I didn't have a place to talk about that. I didn't have a place to put it. Kids weren't in therapy when I was a kid. And it was, hey, let's not talk about this horrible thing that happened to you because everyone just wanted you to move on and feel better.
Okay.
And it wasn't until I started doing domestic violence work myself in my legal career where I was like, okay, there are so many people with stories to tell who haven't had a place or an opportunity to do that. And even when they are doing that, they don't feel heard. People aren't listening to them. And, I understood that from a child's perspective, and I understood that as an adult because I had gone through my own divorce. I didn't have anyone to talk to about it. I probably could have, but I was worried about the judgment. I was worried about people asking me personal questions that I didn't want to answer. So 2024, I'm remarried, and I tell this story all the time. I was sitting on the beach with my husband. I had just watched Sex in the City, and I was pissed off because I was like, who has these people? I was so mad. Literally, something like that. People are like, why were you so mad? And I was like, you have no, it was so frustrating to me.
Yeah.
So I just turned to my husband and I was like, look, I think it's time for me to do something else in my career. And I think I want to listen to people. I've been listening to people for years. I know what it feels like when you don't have anyone to listen to. I want to create a space where it's not therapy, it's not coaching, it's just a space to listen where people can
Yeah.
say whatever they want and they don't have to worry about what am I thinking? Am I going to judge you? Am I going to try to fix you? I am 100% present and engaged in that moment and in that time with that person.
I love that. I want to ask you a question about your experience, just to clarify when you went through what you experienced as a child. your family was aware of it, correct?
Yeah. Yeah.
It was something I'm thinking like the way you were describing it, everyone kind of knew, but oh, no one wanted to talk about it or
Yeah.
listen.
Yeah, and
Okay.
in my 9-year-old version of myself, I can't say exactly what I said to them. I have no idea really, but I said something to the point where it
Yeah.
was like, okay, this is not okay. But again, and I love my mom. We've had
Yeah.
an up and down relationship, but her idea was change the channel. That's what I heard as a
Yep.
kid all the time. Change the channel. We had those old TVs. I'm not that old,
Yeah.
but like we had those TVs.
No,
And
I did too.
that get this moment, move off
Yeah.
of this moment. If it's making you unhappy, move
Or
away
uncomfortable.
or
Right. If it makes
uncomfortable.
other people uncomfortable, we need to stop talking about it.
And so for me, that was really hard. I grew up with what happened. I grew up with that kind of advice, and I wanted to talk about it at various points in my life and other things. I want to talk about it. And friends are great, but they can only hear the story so many times. And they're like, can you just
Yeah.
get over this? Can we just move on? Can we change the channel? And it's for me with my clients, I'm like, I don't care how many times you tell me the thing. You can tell me the thing one time, you can tell me the thing 100 times. If you're not ready to change the channel, that's okay in this space. It's okay.
I love
You're
that.
ready when you're ready, not when other people tell you you're ready.
Yeah, I love that because what you're saying is like resonating so much. I can feel it in my chest. Not that type of abuse idea. I was child number four. I
Mhm.
had a lot to say, very bright, lots of singing, lots of wanting to take up space, and lots of like discomfort with that. It felt like that was my perception at the time. And so that resonates. Okay, we've
Yeah.
talked about this enough. You enough. We've talked about whatever. No, I'm a deep diver. Like
Yeah.
I want to go deep and I want to go into detail and ah, that's
Yeah.
incredible.
Yeah. And
So, no, go ahead.
oh, I was just going to say, and it's really hard to feel that way and not have that space to put it. If our loved ones are like, it's too much, or I've heard it enough, or our friends are saying that, it's very isolating. You feel very alone. And to not get it out in some way, you're just sitting with it and it's heavy. You do feel it. You feel it in your chest, you feel it all in your body. And just
Yep.
that relief of when you can let it out, that's incredible. It's
It's
incredible.
incredible. It is, absolutely. And we're going to get to the divorce stuff, but that's like definitely a very big period of my life where I felt like a burden when I needed to share, but I needed to share. So we're going to get there. But first, I want to talk about, did you know what you were creating? Did you know, or did it just reveal itself over time, or was it a very intentional thing? I'm going to do this.
I literally came up with the idea on the beach that day, June 2024, had never thought about it before then, quit my job of 16 plus years in July
And
and opened.
it was a legal career. Were you practicing law or were you working in a legal?
Yeah, really interesting my kind of path in what I was doing. So I worked for New Hampshire Legal Assistance, so
Okay.
legal aid, a nonprofit law firm. And from day one, I was always doing domestic violence related divorce and parenting cases and protective order cases. I
Okay.
came in as a paralegal. I spent so many hours with clients and doing the legal research and legal writing. And eventually, I became the first paralegal within NHLA, New Hampshire Legal Assistance, to direct a legal project. So I ended up directing the domestic violence project as a paralegal. And then New
Wow.
Hampshire, a few years ago, passed a new law allowing certain paraprofessionals to represent clients in court on their own. So I was the first paralegal in New Hampshire to do that. So I
Wow.
did protective order cases and divorce and parenting cases. And that was a huge honor for me to see when I started what I thought I was going to be doing as a job and then what became a passion and what became my calling and being able to represent clients on my own and create access for people who wouldn't otherwise be able to afford it, that it was so incredibly meaningful. Like I feel like
Amazing.
I was a trailblazer, but also like other people seeing that there are possibilities beyond
Yeah.
can even imagine for ourselves. Hey, who would have thought, like when I started in 2008, a paralegal would be representing clients on her own in court? Like no one. People would have been like,
No
that's
one.
never gonna happen. That's never gonna
That's not
happen.
happening.
Be able to do that and then to see other paralegals do it and be like really good at it, just really
Yeah.
good at it.
I
Yeah.
love that. I love that. Okay, so I'm sorry I interrupted you, but
No, no.
you're at the beach, make this decision,
Mhm.
and your husband, you're just newly married, remarried?
So, yeah, we got married in 2023.
So he's
Almost a
like,
year he's enough, thank God, because I think anyone else might have been like, okay, but you've been in this job for a really long time and you love it and you're really good at it. Are you sure you want to do that? All the
right.
things.
Yeah, it's a risk.
Like,
It's a risk.
I don't know if this is a thing, but sure. Babe, if
Like,
you
let's
want to do
discuss.
this, go do this.
What's
I'll support
what's
you.
what's his astrological sign?
So we were born in December 4th.
Okay, so What are
Okay.
you?
I'm a Pisces.
I'm a Pisces too.
Okay.
So yes.
I felt
Very
that.
dreamer, out of box thinker. So a manifestor in human design. I don't know if human design,
I
but
do.
you might be. Are you a manifestor?
No, I'm not.
Okay.
I don't think so. I've done the human design mapping, but I don't know a ton about it.
Okay. Okay. We won't go down that path because I could
Okay.
won't talk too long about that. Professional listening is still like a new concept. Many people. Are there other professional listeners? Do you have access to mentors, or did you just decide and this is all you?
Yeah, so I just decided so for me, I had been looking for something like this when I was going through my own divorce. I
Hmm.
didn't want therapy. I just wanted a space like this and I couldn't find it. So that also drove me thinking, hey, this might be a need and it might not just be me that needs it. And I did look at anything at the time. Since I've opened, I have found a few people here and there sprinkled in across the US, in Canada, and then somebody reached out to me in Romania wanting to do something similar. And I'm like, this is the best
Wow.
thing ever. I love this.
This is
So yeah, no one that I had really I just dove in. I dove
yeah.
in, and it's nice to find people who are doing not exactly the same thing, but similar, to know that, all right, this is people are catching on. This is a movement. This is another option to people who want to explore the menu of opportunities when they
Yep.
need something like this.
Yeah. How do you describe to someone who's never heard of it, or maybe even a potential client? Like, how do you describe to them what you do?
So I will say that this is a safe and confidential space where you can say all the things you've been holding in, that you've been questioning about whether or not should you say it, shouldn't you say it. Here you get to say it, you can say it, decide how you want to say it. And I'm not judging. I will say I don't really have any skin in the game in terms of I don't know the players, but I have skin in the game in terms of I genuinely care about the people that are coming to me. I care about their stories. I care about how they feel about their stories. I care about what they need from me. Do they
Yeah.
need somebody to listen? And that is my sole role in that hour-long session, is to listen without judgment, without interruption. Or do they want feedback from a neutral, unbiased person? And if they
Right.
want that, I will provide that, but only if they ask for that. I also am say, think about all the times that you've wanted to tell your friends something, or you've wanted to tell your family something, and you've stopped yourself. Why did you stop yourself? What prevented you from saying that thing? And usually it's because people are scared of what someone's going to say back to them. They
Yeah.
just, they don't want to hear, that's not what they need. That's not what
Right.
they need.
Yes. Yes. As I shared before, I have a friend who sometimes we started this while I was going through my divorce and really started using it when I got into a relationship after my divorce where there were red flags. And I would say, I want to talk to you about how I'm feeling, but I do not want your advice. Like, I don't want you to say really anything, but listen. It works really well. It's hard because she's a friend. It's really hard for each of us because we both do it now. She's like, I'm going to do what you do. I'm going to have you just listen. I'm like, okay. But it's
Yeah.
hard to, as a friend or as a family member, obviously as a therapist, like to not chime in. So powerful to give people that space. What do you tell people like the difference is between what you do and therapy and coaching or confiding in a friend?
Yeah, so I think obviously I'm not a therapist. This is a non-clinical setting. I am not diagnosing, nor am I qualified to diagnose anyone. What I can do is identify somebody is not an appropriate fit for my services, that somebody does need a licensed therapist, counselor, and I work with them so I can refer. So I am definitely taking those skills from my prior career and being able to do those assessments and knowing what's a good fit and what isn't. And then in terms of coaching, coaching is very goal driven. What are we going to do? How are we going to solve this? Okay,
Right.
you've said the thing. Now, how do we move on from that? And so that's not my space unless somebody is asking me to do that. And friends, like again, the friends know all the players. That's part of the reason why I didn't tell people I was getting divorced was because what if I told them all the things? What if I told
Yeah.
my friend group all the things about my ex-husband, right? And our
Yep.
relationship and our marriage. And then I said, I'm thinking about getting a divorce. And they're like, yeah, you definitely should divorce that guy. He's an a-hole. Definitely divorce him. But then I was like, I'm really rethinking that and decide not to get divorced. Now
Yep.
they know all the
Oh, it's
stuff
bad.
and they're going to hate him, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
like people, so it does fill the gaps, but it also creates another option for people. It's not meant to replace
Mhm.
anything. I have clients who are in therapy, but also engage in professional listening with me.
Yeah.
It's not a replacement, it's another.
Oh, yeah, the whole even, like, breakups. So, my boyfriend and I had a 5-day break, and on day 2 of the break, I went out with girlfriends, and I thought it was a permanent break, so I, like, unloaded all of these things. We worked it out. He's amazing, like, he's willing to work, we wanted to make it work, like,
Mhm.
it's been great, but all those friends, still have their 2 they
Right.
still have opinions from that one night where I vented, and yeah, and you do get to the point where every relationship, if we're gonna talk about relationships, has ups and downs, right?
Right.
Every single one. And every comes into relationship with baggage. Good relationship, you can just work through the baggage together, work through the disagreements or the issues together. But you do get to the point where you don't want to tell anybody because people are really judgmental and a lot
Mhm.
of people haven't worked through their baggage with their person. So they're like, what are you doing? Like, why would you stay with this person? Why wouldn't you just move on? So I love this idea. I feel like you've really identified something that's been missing. Why do you think these spaces don't already exist? What, why hasn't someone thought of,
I think probably for me, I was worried about what would the mental health community think about this.
Mhm.
Would there be pushback? I was pleasantly surprised that they totally embraced me. And they were like, yes, this is needed. Yes, please. How can
Yeah.
we work together? Okay, there's that piece of it. And then there's this other piece where people are like, wait, people just pay you to listen? Can't you just talk to your friends? And I think people aren't thinking beyond that. And okay, some people you can't sometimes think about all the like what you just said, like the reasons why we can't talk to friends or don't want to share things with friends.
Yeah.
Or, even if it's really good news that we have and we're not ready to share it with friends, or maybe they're going through a really hard time and they're struggling. And so you don't want to make them feel bad by saying, hey, I have this really amazing news I want to share with you. I know you're going through a really hard time. So I think it's just, and also, too, a lot of times I think people think that they're the only ones going through something. Like this must
Mhm.
be something I'm going through. I'm fine. I don't need to talk about it. And so if you look at it from a level of, okay, this is happening to me. Is it possible that other people are thinking this too? And that's what happened to me when I came up with this idea. I was like,
Yeah.
I needed this space. I really want this. I can't find it. Is it possible that I'm the only 40-year-old woman who is going through a divorce and went through a divorce, is dating again, is like has stepkids and bio kids and all of the things? And am
Right.
I the only one that doesn't want to talk to a friend group or doesn't
Right.
have anyone to talk to? And I'm like, no, that can't possibly be that cannot possibly
No.
So I was like, I'm going to just do it. But I think sometimes that stops people because I think we just think that we're alone in this. And yeah.
Well, I think we believe we have this. So your husband is an entrepreneur, so he obviously doesn't have this, and I don't have this, and you don't have this because we're Pisces. But there is a belief that if something doesn't exist, there's a reason it doesn't exist. It doesn't exist because it won't work. But that
Mhm.
is not true. Like we have cell phones now. They didn't used to exist. We have pretty much everything in this room that I'm sitting in didn't exist. Podcasts didn't exist. They do now. So all it takes is one person to be brave enough to say, there's a huge need for this, and I'm going to start it. And I honestly think that 10 years now, there will be listening rooms. And there are people who are professional cuddlers. I don't know if you've heard of that before.
That. That's amazing.
And I know you've never heard of that.
No, I have. I just
You
recently
have,
heard
yeah.
of it.
Yeah. I think that could be improved. I think the system is like you go to someone's house and they cuddle you or something like that. I think there need to be places safe for people.
More
But
boundaries, some more boundaries, yeah.
right. If more boundaries, I think it would become more popular. But this is similar. So I live in St. Petersburg, Florida, and there is a gentleman. He was featured on the news. I think his name is Al. And he essentially, for free, is doing what you are doing. He was on the news because he sat on a bench on a very popular place where people walk here in St. Pete. And people would come and sit down next to him and they would start telling him their problems. And he would just listen. And he was on the news because now people line up. And it's my walking. And the other day I walked by and he had four people in a line, like waiting to
That's
just
amazing.
listen, to have him
I
listen. I was like,
love
when
that.
I read what you were doing, I was like, this is incredible. What do you think the cost is to a person, like emotionally and relationally, to never have a neutral place to speak?
Oof. I can speak from personal experience. It took a toll on me for sure. Keeping all of that in, holding on to that, not having anyone to bounce anything off of, not just being able to say it out loud so I could hear it out loud. And it's
Yeah.
very different saying it out loud to yourself in the shower, right? Versus, hey, there's somebody here that is connecting with me on a human level that I'm saying this out loud to and I can hear it. I was lonely. I was really lonely and sitting with stuff, heavy stuff that I wanted to be like everybody else. I wanted to be like the women on Sex and the City and sit down at a coffee house and tell all of my friends the things that were going on in my marriage, in my life, my choices. And I didn't have that. And here's, I felt inauthentic. I
Yeah.
felt like I couldn't truly be myself because
Yep.
I was keeping so much of myself back.
Yeah.
And whether you tell that stuff to a friend or family member or a stranger or your therapist or coach, like that connection is so important. It's so
Yep.
important. And not having that, just how hard that was. And why I created this is because I don't ever want anyone to have that feeling ever again, ever. I don't want anyone to feel like there isn't a space. I don't, whatever you decide is the best option for you, great. I just want people to know that they don't ever have to feel that way because there are spaces like this that do exist.
Yeah. Because it really only takes one time for someone to say, if you're unhappy, just leave or minimize what you're going through. It only takes one person, one time to shut you up,
Yep.
to get
Yep.
you to realize, oh, they want me to change the channel. And then you'll never bring that issue or anything related to it ever again. You just won't. And I think I'm a huge believer in the body keeps score and
Mhm.
that we
Mhm.
hold things in. Like we've got to get our emotions, our thoughts, we've got to get them out
Mhm.
or we're going to get sick. I've developed a program that's very much centered on getting things out, releasing somatics, nervous system for women going through divorce. And part of the reason is because my biggest fear when I left my marriage was that I would get cancer because the divorce process would make me sick. And I thought, I'm going to get side of this and I'm going to find out I have cancer. During my divorce, I did a deep dive on self care and meditation and all of these things, nervous system control and regulation. But I didn't have this. Like, I didn't. I had therapists, I had friends, I had my lawyer, but divorce is a long process. Like,
Yeah.
it can take, at the minimum, it's 6 months, and that's in record time, but it can be 2 years, it can be five. People do not want to hear about it that long. Don't. So I do want to go more into divorce, but I wanted to I wanted to ask you a really important question before we get there. What do people most commonly misunderstand about what it means to truly listen?
I think people think that listening also means understanding and that they have to relate to it. That if I'm truly listening, I understand what you're going through and I can relate to it. And in my opinion, that's not the case. There are many of my clients, we have similar experiences, but there are some clients that I've not had the same experience, but I can still hold space for them and I can still listen and I can still be present and I'm not judging them. And so I can still do that. I can be the exact same with A that I can be with client B. It doesn't change that experience because listening really is uninterrupted, engaged presence with another person. And I don't have to be in the same circumstances as that person for that to happen.
Yeah. Yeah. No, not at all. And I think that is such a good point. And I think that there are a set of skills that you can have that make people feel heard by leaning in, nodding, like giving them feedback that you are engaged, you are listening. One thing in mindfulness based stress reduction that we teach people, and that I loved when I took my very first, I was in it as a client the first time, is the act of repeating things back to people. But the biggest one that I loved was not rehearsing what you're going to say while the other person's talking.
Yes.
And that is something that, as a society, like everyone needs to learn. I have a 12-year-old and he's terrible at it because he's 12, but other people are too. So
Yeah.
when you're sitting with a group of women, your friends, or even one friend, and you can already see the look on their face that they're planning what they're going to say. They've thought of something because you've said something, they've thought of something, and they don't want to forget. So they stop listening, and you can
Mhm.
tell.
You could
So
totally
you can totally tell. So this idea that some people are better listeners than others, right? Some people are better conversationalist, like is really good at asking lots of questions.
Mhm.
And it was suspicious when I started dating him. I was like, why is he's just asking me questions, remembers everything. So
Mm.
he's really good at circling back to something you said earlier, and then you feel more heard. It's
Mhm.
things like that make people want to engage with you and want to share, and they feel comfortable. But we live in a world where people want instant gratification. They want things to be fast. People listen to podcasts on to double speed. They want information quickly. Do you get a sense that a lot of people just want another human to interact with instead of a computer or AI or something else?
Yeah, I think some people for sure are looking for, especially we're in a loneliness epidemic,
Yeah.
right? Coming
Yeah.
out of COVID, everything was virtual. People weren't connecting. We still haven't entirely gotten out of mode. So people are looking for ways to connect with other humans
Yeah.
that don't include phones, that don't include technology, that, where and it's hard. And people, it's really hard. And I think it's a skill that we've gotten away from because everything is so digital. We don't have to have these face-to-face interactions. I think
Yeah.
it's hard for our kids
Yeah.
who most of their like even the school age kids who were in school during COVID, everything, all the whole classroom was through computers, and it's
Yeah,
still through computers and everything. They're on their phones and they're on social media, and like they're losing touch with how to connect with people. And to your earlier point, when we're listening to someone, we're like, okay, how do we get to the next thing? We're
right.
listening to respond. We're not
Yeah.
listening to listen. We're listening to respond.
Yes.
And so we're missing the majority of what somebody is telling us, which is important.
Yep.
And we're missing it. We're missing like a conversation, like
Yeah.
honest,
Yeah.
because someone says something halfway in and then we're like, oh yeah, I have to remember to say this. And that reminds me of this. And then our brains, and the person's still
Right.
talking. And we're like, crap, I have no idea what they just said. And they're like, oh, what do you think about that? And you're like, I don't know. I was thinking about the thing you just said that I wanted to talk about 5 minutes ago.
Yep. I know
Mhm.
as a therapist, like when I see people in person, I always have my notepad so that I can write a word down to remind me and then I can move on with, right?
Mhm.
Like they say something, I'm like, oh, as a their therapist, like I need to circle back to that. I want to circle back to that. But I don't want to check out in
Yeah.
because I'm also 50 and I can't remember. So so I still keep the paper to write a word down to remind me to circle back. But the reason for that is if I don't do that, I will either forget or I will just sit there and rehearse whatever it is I want to say to them the whole time they're sharing something else. But I think most people don't do that. And I'm guilty of you're excited, you're seeing people for the first time in a while, maybe catching up at lunch. You go into that whatever meeting, lunch, phone call thinking of the things you want to share and you are excited to share. And when they're talking about whatever they're talking about, you're thinking, I want to get to my thing. I just want to get to my thing. I've had multiple times with friends recently where my intention for making a phone call is one thing, but once we get on the call, there's something really emotional going on with the other person. And there's just okay, we're going to leave. We're not getting the thing I called them for. Like they need something else. But I think most people don't have that. A lot of
Mhm.
people don't have that. And time is like our most valuable asset right now. And none of us have enough of it. With your business, is it and virtual? Is it all virtual? What is like?
In person and virtual. So when I initially started, it was going to be all in person, but then I had people calling me from different parts of the country. And I was like, all right, I want this to be accessible because people are like, I've never heard of this. I would really love to do this. And I'm like, okay, I have to be able to offer both. So I'm excited that I can do that. It definitely expands the accessibility. And
Yeah.
that's always been what I've wanted is whoever wants this service that they're able to use it. I will
Right.
make it work.
Oh, I love that. When you started this, like a lot of your story is woven into the work that you're doing and the type of people that you're attracting to your business. So, what did you have to heal in yourself to be able to hold space for others?
I think it was acknowledgement of my story. So when I was doing the domestic violence work, I never told anyone about my story. I was like, okay, this isn't the place, this isn't the time, this is about them. I didn't choose this work, like, or I did choose this work just because it was a job. I was moving to New Hampshire and I'm like, oh, I saw this ad in the paper and sure, a domestic violence paralegal, I can probably do that. I had done it in Rhode Island doing similar work. So I was like, all right, sure. I made those choices like subconsciously going, I'm choosing this work because I'm drawn to it because of what happened to me. But I didn't want to acknowledge that at all. I was like, nope, I'm not, that's not why, because I felt that gave him power. And
Mm,
I was like, I want to be good at my job because I'm good at my job, not because of what happened to me. So I fought that for a really long time. But
yeah.
at the same time, I was connecting with my clients and they were like, Erin, nobody's listening to me. Nobody's listening to me like you are listening to me. You just get it. And it wasn't until, and no one really, I don't think I had told anyone at work either, like any of my colleagues that I had worked with for more than a decade. And it wasn't until my going away party where I talked about it at my going away party. And I
Wow.
was crying.
Wow.
And this may not be the time, but it was my time. And I was like, this is the time that I'm going to do this. And I acknowledged that, yes, I was really good at my job and really good in my skills because of what happened to me. And I was
Yeah.
okay acknowledging that finally. And so I took that and I haven't looked back since. I'm like, this is my story. I'm not ashamed of it. This is what happened to me. This is how I've grown from it. And
Yep.
this is how I'm using that experience to make other people's experiences not better or less difficult, but just heard. Like that use
Validated.
yes, validated, empowered, whatever word you want to plug in there. But it's like
Yeah.
I'm using that strength that I got, and I'm I want people to come and find that in themselves too.
Yep. Yep. I think it's so important because I think that there's a difference between letting something define you, your experiences define you, growing from your experience, identifying as something like, how do you see all of that like now? Because you didn't want to tell anyone because I'm assuming you didn't want it to, you were afraid it would define you somehow. Is that
Yeah.
true?
Yeah, absolutely. I did not want to be defined by what happened to me. I didn't want people to go, oh, obviously she's an advocate for victims because she was a victim herself and she gets it. And I was like, no, and I felt that power and like
Yeah.
he had some role in in my success, essentially.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't want that. But then I was like, it took me leaving and it took me creating the space to go, no, there is a power in that. I was good at my job and I was able to connect because I had experience.
Yeah.
That's not my identity, but it is part strength for sure. And
Right.
instead of running away from that, I've totally leaned into that.
I love that. I love that because so many people, a huge impact on others, do it because of their story and
Mhm.
what they've been through. And we get to choose how we want to write the story and how we want it to play out. Some people don't learn that until much, much later in life, and we can even rewrite the whole story. But man, I think if you look around the world at the people who've had the greatest impact on others and inspiring people and empowering people and touching people's lives, so many of them had something tragic or terrible happen, and they made a choice to lean in. So even though you weren't maybe consciously doing that when you took that job, like
Yeah.
you were, right? I love
Yeah.
that. So we're going to get to divorce now. Many of your clients are navigating divorce after divorce. What patterns do you most often witness in those conversations?
It's funny, a lot of people who come to me who are referred for divorce or who are going through a divorce, when they come and talk to me, they're not talking to me about their divorce. It's really
Yeah.
interesting. They're talking to me about all the other things that are going on with them, co-parenting, or maybe dating
Mm,
someone else, or the thing that's going on with their friend and how they're navigating that, or hey, I'm trying to balance being a mom and running a business. Or so it's interesting to me that the thing that brought them to me is not usually what we end up talking about. And I'm game for anything. People ask me, they'll say, okay, so do you just work with clients going through a divorce? I'm like, no, whatever's going on in your life, I'm happy to talk to you about it. But yeah, I think a lot of it too is just feeling empowered and for it being
mhm.
okay to say the things
Yeah.
because I have found that a lot of people have in marriages or relationships where maybe they didn't have the ability to do that. They were
Right.
told, don't do that, don't have a voice, don't have an opinion about this. So separating or divorcing and going, I can't say that thing. No, you absolutely can. You
Mhm.
absolutely can.
Yep.
no one should be telling you you can't say the thing or say
Yeah.
what's going on with you. So just seeing that growth and strength where they're like not censoring themselves anymore. And
Yes.
I think that's so powerful. It's so amazing to see. It's amazing to see the relief come off
Mm.
of that when they're like, okay, for years, I felt like I didn't have a voice. For years, I felt like if I said this, I'd get in trouble. And now I'm navigating, like, I don't have anyone telling me not to say the things. And being a little bit scared to do that at first, it's you're dipping your toe in. How's that going to feel? Am I going to
Yep.
like this? Am I not going to like this? And then it's like when you jump in really cold water, you're like, oh, this is painful. It's really sure if I know. But then you're like, oh my gosh, this feels amazing. And then you just jump right in. They're just
Right.
jumping right in. And that is incredible to see that, to witness that, to see them find the strength in themselves that's always been there. They just didn't have anyone supporting it.
Yeah, that's great. I love that. I love that they're coming in and they're sharing all these other things. What I end up hearing with a lot of my coaching clients is frustration with the people in their life,
Hmm.
not their ex. There's a lot of loss that happens, loss of people while you go through a divorce. And there's a lot of people who don't understand, right? Like
Hmm.
people say, my sister doesn't get it. Like this person doesn't get it. And so I end up hearing more of that
Hmm.
sometimes than anything else.
Yeah.
Or the grief. Like there's so much grief that people don't realize that I struggled with talking about during my divorce was the loss of the things and my lifestyle. And I even resisted when a coach that I had would say, you're not leaving because you don't want to lose your lifestyle. So by the time I got into my divorce process, I was hell bent on proving that wasn't the case. But in reality, I had lived that way for 18 years. And I was terrified of how that was going to go. Was I going to be able to manage my money? Was I going to be able? But I was embarrassed because of that coach saying before, and other people too. Oh, you're just not leaving because you don't want to lose your your big house, or your
Hmm.
people put shame on you.
Yep.
And then I always tell my clients, like, a lot is going to come out during this time. A lot more things are happening internally for you than just going through this divorce. If you have any shame, if you have anything buried down deep, it's probably going to come up in the. And so I can imagine a lot of that stuff comes up too. Things that people don't, you almost feel like, why does this have to come up right now? I'm already going through enough. Like,
Hmm.
why this? Why now? And sure enough, big other life things happen in the midst of the divorce. I was in an accident with my one of my dearest friends. She ended up in a coma, smack dab in the middle of my divorce. So then I didn't talk about the divorce at all because everyone wanted to know how she was and how it was all about how she was, which
Right.
was fine. But then I realized after a while, I'm not taking care of myself. So needs of people going through not just divorce, breakup too, are really endless. In this culture, I don't know if you are hearing this or you're receiving this information from people, but we live in this culture of if there are red flags or if it's not working, just leave. And there's the whole like let them theory. Man, that's really hard to do. We are attached to people. It is hard to lose a connection, whether it's a friend or a partner or a job and the people at the job. It's not that easy.
Yeah. It's not that easy.
But people say those things like, just leave him, just go. Oh, I would be done. You better run, girl. Like all these things is because people don't want to listen. They don't.
Yeah, and I think that they haven't been in those shoes, right? I think
Yeah.
it's easy for people to say, yeah, why wouldn't you just leave? Like For me, it was I was married 17 years. We were together on that, but there was a time in my marriage where I was like, I wish something would happen. I wish something would happen because on the outside, we have this perfect life, perfect family, everything's great. And even though I kind of like drop hints, and people will drop hints to see if you're a safe person, to see if you're going to respond and what,
Yep.
can I talk to you? And I was like, but I would say, hey, maybe I don't know what to do. And they wouldn't get it.
Right.
They'd be like, I don't, what's the issue? And
Yeah.
it's almost like you need something.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, if you cheated on me, which he did, but if you cheated on me, like people would get that.
Yep.
If I was in a domestic violence relationship, people would say, why don't you just leave him? I get that. And I'm like, okay, but there's so many other things going on that people don't consider. So I was like, I was looking for people didn't understand my situation. So I was hoping for something that they would understand. And even
Yep.
then, I couldn't say anything. And then and then it's when the thing don't do the thing, you don't leave. They're like, why aren't you leaving? That question bothers me so much. Why aren't you leaving? It comes with so much judgment. It's not a why
Yeah.
question. It shouldn't be a why question. It should be what is causing you to stay? What is it? It is
Right.
such
Right.
less judgment. What is finances? Are you kids? Do you still love this person? Like,
Right.
it's hard
Right.
to walk away from somebody that you have spent a life with. It's scary. It's hard. And yeah, I think that if people listened and took it back and said, hey, maybe I haven't experienced this right now. Maybe I've never been through a divorce. Maybe I haven't been through a breakup, but the person in front of me has. What do they need? What can I give? What can I do? And the best thing that, in my opinion, that you can do, and what I ask in all of my sessions is, how can I listen to you today? What do you need? How can I listen to you? Do you want
Right.
me to just listen and you go and you vent and you talk and I say nothing but I'm present and here with you? Or do you want to have a conversation about this? What do you need? How can I listen to you? Not why do you need that? Not
Right.
why didn't you leave?
Oh, I
Why?
think that that is such a if people are listening and they would want any takeaway from this, to say to someone, "What do you need?" Instead of assuming we know what people need, because we don't. Even if we've been in their shoes, we don't know. So ask. Just ask. How can I best show up for you right now? What do you
Mhm.
need? But we want to fix and we want to make people feel better because it makes us uncomfortable when people aren't doing well, when people are having these experiences, and we can't possibly put ourselves in their shoes. But I think many times people are acting from a good place with good intentions, but they're so uncomfortable. It ends up causing people to not talk, share, and not come to them for just listening. What do you wish people knew or understood better about like the emotional labor of building a new life? Because you had to do that. You listen to people who are doing that all the time. What do you wish other people knew?
I just wish other people knew that this is an ongoing thing. And this applies to when there's a death of someone close, death of a pet, loss of a pet, a breakup of a marriage, of a relationship, friendships. It's not one singular event, one singular moment. This is
Right.
something that people live with and are sitting with. So don't just show up for that incident. Keep
Yeah.
showing, keep asking them. Even if it feels I've been asking and they tell me nothing, just check in with them. And it doesn't have to be a big thing. It doesn't have to be a big deal. It doesn't have to be every single day because that can probably be a lot for both people.
Right.
Just, hey, it's been like a couple weeks. I just want to check in. How are you doing? Anything
Yeah.
I can do for you? Because people show up. Like, I think about this with my mom. So also while I was considering divorce, going through a divorce, my dad was dying from early onset Alzheimer's. So that's
Mm.
part of reason why I didn't talk to my family because I was like, they're already going through so much. They don't need my crap on top of it.
Yeah.
My dad died and in 2022 and everybody was there. Everybody there. Everybody think about it in the movies, the things that we do, like the day of the funeral or when it happens, everybody's coming over with casseroles and flowers, and then it stops at some point because people have lives and they move on.
Yeah.
And while it was an event and they showed up and they cared for you, that was for them like a very small piece of their everyday lives. They're still going,
Yeah.
they're still moving. But for the person too, like it happened to them, they're experiencing it. It's not just that singular event, it's going on. I need to be better about this. Checking in with my mom and making sure that, hey, how are you doing? What's going on? I know you missed dad. Keep doing that. Keep showing up beyond the day of the big event.
That's such a good point. And it's an ongoing. You are so right. Like it's ongoing. And I think that because it makes people uncomfortable when we talk about things like divorce and death. For me, that accident I was into, like people are, they don't want to be uncomfortable. Like we avoid being
Yeah.
uncomfortable like the plague.
Yeah.
So, but what I've experienced, and I think what research says and what people in the work you're doing say, like people like it when you acknowledge that they've been through something and they
Mhm.
like it when you check in. It makes them feel worse if you avoid the elephant in the room. It makes you feel like a burden, like, oh, everyone's uncomfortable around me because in your mom's case, like they don't want to bring it up. They're afraid of my response. They're afraid I might tear up. Got to hold it all together and then I can't share. Holding space for people, just holding space. Saying, "How are you? What do you need?" But a simple text, right? Think I was just thinking of you. Goes a long way. It's a long way. Like when we talk about divorce, like so many times you'll say something about, "Oh, got divorced." And they're like, "Oh, I'm sorry." And I'm like, "No, it's great." And they're like, "Oh, great then." Like that's becoming more common now, but the discomfort in people the minute you say divorce. Like we met with my boyfriend's family that I had never met recently. And he goes, "Don't tell them the kind of people you work with. They've divorced and he's never been married. My boyfriend's never been married or divorced." He goes, "They've both been divorced. It might make them uncomfortable." And I was like, "It wouldn't, but okay." Like it wouldn't. If you've been through it, you don't mind talking about it usually. That's that idea that let's avoid the uncomfortable things instead of letting people know that it's okay to talk about it.
Absolutely. When I was doing my previous work, I would show up to events or fundraisers or even in my friend group, they'd be like, "Oh, what do you do?" And I'm like, "Oh, I work with domestic violence victims, stalking, sexual assault victims, and survivors, and I do divorce work." And they would go, "Oh," immediately just stop. The conversation would be over and they would just walk away to the point where I was like, "Do I need to like start saying I'm a flight attendant or what do I even
Right.
need to say that I do?" But then I was like you, it was visibly uncomfortable for people. And I was like, okay, if we don't talk about my work is important and the people I work with need strong voices to stand up for them. And I am
Mhm.
not going to shrink away from what I do. I am proud of the work that I do. And I'm sorry if that makes you uncomfortable, but the more that we talk about it, the more that because people are like, that doesn't happen. I'm like, I can give you the statistics.
Yeah.
And, but yeah, they don't want to hear it. They don't want to be uncomfortable either
Mhm.
because they're trying to be polite and they think they're going to make you uncomfortable or they're uncomfortable. And it's look, the more that we have spaces, the more where we're like, hey, I want to hear from you. I want to know what you're thinking. What are you doing? Wow, that's really interesting. Like the more that we accept that and welcome that, then it's not going to be that uncomfortable anymore.
And then we're serving people, right? Like it's it's a not talk about things and get more comfortable with it. It's okay. Life happens. death happens, divorce happens, people are sexually assaulted. Like it happens. We don't want people to feel like they have to hide it and that they have to hide what they're going through.
Mhm.
So I did want to ask you a question, a personal question, because I feel of the women that I work with are want to get to the other side of the cruelty of the divorce process. Most of them are living their best life. Some of them still have to continue to deal with a difficult co-parent. All that happens. But most of them, including myself, really they go all in with reinventing themselves. And the work we do during the divorce process makes the transition feel better, I think. So one of the things that one of the information you gave me yourself was that your ex-husband said that you would regret not being married to him. I can relate to that. Do you?
No. No, I do not. No, what I do regret are kids. We have two kids. I do regret that they have had to experience the difficulties of divorce.
Yeah.
But I truly believe that despite that, seeing me happier, seeing their father happier, like that's ultimately going to be the takeaway is that they see a happier version of me. And I would not be where I am today had I not been divorced,
Right.
because then I wouldn't have met my husband, who probably, if he wasn't an entrepreneur himself, I never would have had the confidence or like the thought of, oh, I'm going to leave my job that I love and I'm passionate about and good at to start a business when I have zero business experience
Right.
whatsoever. Like, if all those little things hadn't happened along the way, big things hadn't happened along the way, like I wouldn't be where I am. So
Yeah.
I'm sure he was thinking like the finances and all of that. And you're never going to find him that loves you like I do, all the stuff that they'll say. But
Yeah.
regardless of whether I found else or not, I loved myself enough. I
Yeah.
loved myself enough. So I,
Yeah. Yeah. I always say during the process, every time there was a really challenge, or I would go into survival mode and then I would come out and get to the other side of that. There's a lot of PTSD through the process. But I would tell myself I needed to go through that because I wouldn't understand what it feels like when I'm sitting across from someone else who's sharing it with me and I'm listening. I'm going to know what they mean. I'm going to know what they're talking about. And I wouldn't have understood it. So every challenge was like, okay, I had to experience that because somebody's going to need me to know what that felt like. And I feel similar. Like, I don't regret what my life has looked like up to this point. I don't regret the marriage. I love my children. And so much learning and growth came out of it. I just wish the process itself didn't have to be full of PTSD and full of trauma.
mm,
But
mm,
that's, I think, the work you're doing and the work I'm doing is to support women so that the impact of a traumatic event doesn't have to be trauma. It doesn't have to be like when we hold space for someone. I always tell people there can be micro traumas, there can be big T traumas. Two people can experience the exact same one, but if one person is held, the long-term impact can be greatly diminished. Whereas you can have someone else who had no support, no one to listen. Just listening is enough to the trauma from a traumatic event. I absolutely love, love, love what you're doing. I want to share to listeners like how they could reach out to you and how they could get in touch because you do offer virtual support. So, what's
right.
the best way for someone to find you?
So definitely check out my website. It's theunmutedroom.com. And I offer a free 10-minute consult if people are like, hey, this sounds really cool. I'm interested. This might be a good fit for me. Definitely just schedule that and I'll hop on a call with you. It's a video call and we'll talk about it and see if this is a right fit for you. And that's totally free. And then I'm on Instagram, the dot unmuted room. So check me out there too.
Great, great. That'll all be in the show notes on YouTube, Spotify, Apple. You can find that information there as well. Thank you so much. This was wonderful. I feel like I could probably talk to you all day long and listen. So thank you so much for coming on. This was great.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. It was a really good conversation. I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
It's great. All right, till next time, everyone.